On July 20th, 2012, James Holmes opened fire in a theater in Aurora, Colorado, killing 12 people and injuring dozens more. The attack was elaborate and well coordinated. Holmes even left explosives rigged to blow at his apartment. And yet, when he showed up in court, the media reported that Holmes seemed dazed and largely unaware of his surroundings. Holmes would later tell a fellow inmate that an evil therapist programmed me to commit mass slaughter. And strange enough, some of the evidence submitted at trial conveniently included a journal belonging to Holmes, found in a university mailroom, addressed to his campus psychologist, confessing all sorts of evil, violent fantasies. The fellow inmate claims that Holmes said he felt like he was in a video game while he was carrying out the shootings, and mentioned neuro-linguistic programming, a form of psychotherapy or hypnosis. Now, clearly this man was crazy, so you have to take what he says with a grain of salt. But it does make you wonder. The FBI, for instance, has been known to approach unstable, mentally ill people and entice them into agreeing to carry out a terrorist plot. The FBI supplies their target with fake explosives and then arrests them at the scene of the crime. This allows the FBI to claim that they have thwarted a terrorist attack, when in reality, the culprit would have been mentally incapable of planning and carrying out the attack without the FBI's guidance. So when you hear that Holmes was a neuroscience student obsessed with mind control, confessing his deepest, darkest secrets to a therapist, it suddenly doesn't sound so crazy that he could have been set up as the patsy in a larger plot. Of course, this theory hinges around the idea that somebody could be hypnotized to carry out such an atrocity. Hypnotists are not magic, but they are experts at tapping into the thought currents already running through the subject's mind, to both ride the wave and direct the flow of the subject's brainwaves. Your brain operates at measurable frequencies, which correspond to the state of mind that you're in. For example, while in deep, dreamless sleep, your brainwaves are in a delta state, firing at 1 to 3 hertz. The beta brain state operates between 12 and 28 hertz, and occurs when awake, alert, and focused on a task. But when you are meditating or daydreaming, you're operating in an alpha state, around 7 to 13 hertz. And when you're in a light sleep, dreaming vividly, that is called theta and operates between 4 to 7 hertz. Hypnotism is really just a matter of finding the right triggers to put your mind into a highly suggestible state, like alpha or theta. They do this by piggybacking on your preconceived notions, existing mental archetypes, and psychological shortcuts that we use to save brain capacity. Right from the start, the hypnotist establishes authority by calling himself a hypnotist. This begins the process of hypnosis, because we all carry in our minds an idea about what a hypnotist looks like and what hypnotism is. You are getting sleepy. Research shows that children as young as 10 already have a picture of a hypnotist etched into their minds. It doesn't matter that we all picture slightly different things, nor does it matter that the hypnotist doesn't know exactly what our particular impression of a hypnotist is. What matters is that we've already started preparing ourselves to enter a different mental state. We are thinking about hypnotism, maybe wondering if it's real, maybe imagining times we went to a hypnotist show, or your anxiety or excitement could be rising in anticipation. You start thinking, can I really be hypnotized? What can he make me do? Will I lose free will? Can my mind be controlled? Now you are primed. So the hypnotist starts to push a little further. He says he has a test to see if you'd be a good subject to be hypnotized. He is confident, in charge, and says, pay attention to me, which of course you are already doing. This reinforces that he is in control and you are doing as he says. He's using a particular cadence to speak, like the lines on a highway, flickering past your headlights and causing highway hypnosis. He's leading you down a path, and you're already starting to drift under his influence before he even begins. Then the test starts. It will be something like, hold out your arm and tense it as much as you can. Really engage those muscles. Tighter. Flex those muscles. Your arm is a steel beam. It cannot bend, it will not bend. Keep it tense. A metal bar runs from your shoulder to your hand, making it impossible to bend. It cannot bend, it will not bend. Now try as you might, you cannot bend your arm. Of course, if you're following his instructions to keep your arm tensed, flexed, and firm, that's the real reason you can't bend your arm. But if you don't mentally process that fact, it feels like the hypnotist has taken over some element of your free will. And it is that feeling that allows him to take hypnosis one step further. Now you believe that he can control your mind with words, and hypnosis becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now the hypnotist will look to reinforce this control. control. If your breathing has become shallow, he'll say, "Your breathing is becoming shallow now." And boom, there's more proof that he can control your mind and body. This generally culminates in him squeezing your shoulder and saying, "Sleep," and you slumping in the chair. From there, most hypnotists will give you a little meditation spa treatment by putting you in a deep state of relaxation, telling you that all your cares will lift out of your body and evaporate until you have not a worry in the world. Can he really make you relax? No, but you can make yourself relax. You've allowed yourself to be put into a deep state of meditation. In this state, all on your own, you can implant ideas, better attitudes, and healing. But in the case of hypnosis, you're allowing the hypnotist to do the implanting. Most people don't really feel like they have that kind of power over their own mind. It is much easier for them to abandon control and cede it to an expert, like a hypnotist. And when he starts the session by putting you into a deep state of relaxation, this allows the subject to drift further under his control, because it is already a rewarding experience. How often do you get to feel truly relaxed, free from all responsibilities of a sentient, rational mind? Hypnotists reward you by allowing you to let go, to cede control to them, to finally turn off and relax, to not have to worry or plan for once. Finally, you can just exist, with no discomfort, no expectations, just stillness. You're now getting a strong desire to hit that subscribe button. You can't help yourself. You want more video content from me so bad it almost hurts. And the only way to stop the pain is to like the video, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends how amazing this channel is. If you're at a hypnotist show, this is the stage where the crazy stuff starts happening. They make you think you're a duck or forget your name. Or they convince you to become a loyal devotee to support their quest to overthrow every oppressive government and replace them with a private governing system devoid of coercion with ultimate respect for each individual, for example. In real life, this is the stage of hypnosis where they make you bow to the woke mob and abandon all sense of reason. It feels good. It feels so nice to stop questioning, abandon rationality, to sink under their control, and to become a properly programmed part of the collective. People underestimate that appeal of surrendering all sense of self and all responsibility to someone else, a hypnotist, an expert, politician, a scientist. And what makes the allure all the more powerful is that sometimes it can be healthy. For instance, the deep spiritual healing of ayahuasca or mushroom trips can only occur when you abandon control and allow yourself to fall under the hallucinogen's spell. With mushrooms, ayahuasca, or LSD, all you have to fear is what the substance brings out in your own mind. But when you abandon your self-control to another human being, you are trusting that they have no ulterior motives and nothing to gain from your obedience. If you have a trustworthy, competent therapist, they could plant ideas that help you overcome mental hardships. Or perhaps, as I mentioned earlier, they could reinforce the worst of your nature and bring out the most sinister elements of your psyche. Personally, I believe at some level, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You have to allow yourself to be hypnotized. Under normal circumstances, nobody can seize your mind without your permission. Remember, the hypnotist is working with what is already in your head, but a particularly gifted hypnotist could probably reach some pretty deep corners that you didn't even know were there. Which is why meditation can help you protect yourself from this type of influence, by making sure that you're the first one to explore your subconscious mind and get a feel for the place. How the elite use the power of hypnosis. You have probably already noticed certain elements of how hypnosis applies to the way that the elites control society. You can't deny that they have great branding. We refer to them as elites. Already their status is heightened in the mind. Just like hypnotists, we all have a different idea of just what an elite is. But that idea will generally share some common elements: power, status, secret societies, wealth, control of government and other institutions. Others may associate the term with athletes or elite schools. Elite seems out of reach, exclusive, too powerful to resist. Something is going on behind the scenes which we cannot control. This is also how the government prefers to be seen, which I discuss in my video on different traps which keep us from freeing ourselves. Posturing as elite or an expert or a leader cuts down most opposition before it even starts. They marry the elements of hypnosis with marketing. For instance, President Edward Bernays hypnotized America by associating cigarettes with women's empowerment and finding doctors who would say bacon and eggs is the best breakfast you could have. Obviously, the elite benefit from controlling large, centralized institutions which can team up to hypnotize us into believing the experts. Random volunteers will deliver electric shocks until it appears the subject has passed out or died, all because a man in a lab coat told them to keep going. That was the Milgram experiment on obedience to perceived authority. And indeed, most people go through life in some level of hypnosis. Take the belief that a government with the monopoly on security and justice, which allows no competition and forces people at the point of a gun to fund them, is the most peaceful way to run a society. Never mind that the single largest cause of death in the 20th century was government. Most people are under such a spell that they cannot even conceive a different way to organize society. Simply the thought entering the mind that we might not need a government as we currently know it makes people defensive, confused, and angry. It's almost like somebody instructed them while in a deep state of hypnosis that when they wake up, they will violently reject the idea that their captors are not their saviors. Some call this Stockholm Syndrome, but most people call it good citizenship. The media is the most obvious mass hypnosis machine. They often report real news, but framed in such a way that it supports their narrative. But most hypnosis is reinforced by our peers in a mental shortcut called social proof. For example, a college degree has mattered for so long that your own parents will try to convince you to borrow 6 figures to get a gender study degree. Of course, the universities were taken over by the Marxist hypnotists long ago. They present their conditioning as education, and their subjects react violently to ideas which contradict their conditioning. That's why they need safe spaces, hate free speech, and cancel anybody that dares to present a dangerous idea. The banks hypnotize customers into believing they are a safe institution to keep your money in, when in reality, they are on the brink of collapse. Use your money to gamble in instruments like derivatives, and work as spies for the government to report suspect financial transactions. Fiat currency itself is a huge hypnotism move. Paper money, printed by government, made valuable by decree, and nothing else but mass hypnosis. There are too many examples of hypnotism being used on society every day, so comment with more. But all these institutions cannot be entirely useless. Some research is real and beneficial. Some news is relevant and helpful. Some education is worthwhile. A medium of exchange is necessary, and so are many products created and sold by corporations. The real trick is convincing people that these are the only ways to learn, govern, and spend in an advanced economy. It's like when the hypnotist tells you to flex your muscles, stiffen your arm, and then try to bend it. Obviously, when the government has a near monopoly on security, the other alternatives atrophy. They seize control of policing and courts and say, just try to stay safe without us. Just try to bend your arm while flexing. Try to protect yourself while it is against our rules to protect yourself. You can't do it, can you? Well, I guess we do need them. I guess they do control me. I guess I am powerless. But trust in these institutions is crumbling. That's a good thing, although the elites still try to frame it as a bad thing. We still believe that a society must rest on certain foundations, and the loss of these institutions can still make us uncomfortable. Most people are waiting for a prompt from the hypnotist because they just can't conceive of any alternatives on their own. Once this is overcome, the elites have lost their game. And in fact, if you understand the message of this video, the elites have already lost their control over you. I would encourage everybody to use meditation to recognize and dissolve those mental barriers and walls erected in our minds by society's hypnotists. In a sense, self-hypnosis gives you control over your own mind and makes it much harder for others to implant harmful ideas. And in another video, we're going to dive into how you can use hypnosis to grow your own power and take back control from the elites. If you're interested in learning hypnosis, I would recommend starting with a book called Reality is Plastic by Anthony Jacquin, which is available exclusively as an audiobook on Audible, link in the description. I'm Joe Jarvis. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, share with all your friends, and come back and see me again soon.